Hi there, I'm Catherine and this is Knitting with Catherine. Come on. The dog days of summer have long passed, and autumn has quietly slipped in. She's brought shorter days, longer socks, and an irresistible urge to spend half my paycheck on pumpkin-scented candles. I've unearthed the hot water bottle from its summer slumber, and at last whispered the seasonal surrender. It's time to turn the heating on. My boots have resumed their post by the front door, my loyal companions for the months ahead, and the cat has once more glued herself to my lap, or when I'm not available, will resort to nestling under the duvet cover. For us knitters, this is our season. It's finally time to dig out the toastiest of yarns and cast on all the warm, cozy knits that we've been dreaming about for months. Today it is time to talk about what I'm planning to make for autumn. So what I'm definitely going to make, because it's either done or it's cast on and almost finished. What else I hope to make and have the yarn for, and then some sort of stretch goals to see if there's enough time to make all the lovely cozy autumn knits that I'm dreaming of. So let's start. To begin with, I really wanted a skinny scarf for autumn because all the scarves I have already are probably a bit too warm. And I also wanted an excuse to use up this yarn that I got on my holiday to Japan in May. So yes, the green colour is this really pretty yarn that had mohair and bits and bobs of everything, to be honest. Hopefully you can see it's a bit glittery. And I used the Florence Miller's Kilometre, mile, really long scarf of some distance that I can't remember. But instead of casting on the full number of stitches, I just did 20 on each side, and I did the same cast on method and bind off that was in the instructions. So basically it's just one long tube of knitting. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward and very fun. And then I used some leftover drops there from Stash in this nice pink and off-white colour. And yeah, when I wear it, because of the way the stripes are split, I kind of have half of the pink and half of the white, and then the stripes are equal on each side. It's nice and cozy. I started it when I was at a music festival. I think I got about this much done in the weekend, so not that much, but it was still nice to have a small little project to carry around with me, sit down occasionally to knit when there was time. So yes, that is my scarf, which is done. And that's the only finished autumn knit. The next thing is the Rosie Rosie jumper, sweater, depends what you call it. But I am almost finished. As you can see, it's still attached to the needles, and let me bring it back. So yes, I've done the whole of the body and working on this arm. I've done the collar, but I decided to change it to a double folded collar. I actually used the step-by-step sweater instructions for the folded collar. The only problem is that, so this is a step-by-step jumper, and you start at the collar. So when you purl the halfway row to create that fold is on the inside, because then you're continuing on. Whereas with this one, it's on the outside. And I didn't think about that. So it does look a bit more ruffly, maybe? I don't hate it. I think it's fine. Yeah, let me know what you think. But I think it will still be perfectly wearable. And I really love the colors. So it's very similar to the sample colors, but I'm more of a warm-toned person when it comes to clothes, or at least that's what I think, that I'm a soft autumn. So I like creamy, warm yellow toned natural white. So this is an undyed color. And then, yeah, I used a chocolatey brown. It's actually multi-tonal, to be honest, which I really like. Hopefully you can see, because the mohair is a lot darker than the main yarn. So speaking of the yarns, let me grab the basket closer. So the actual wool is the Peer Gynt, which I have used before, and yeah, I like it. It's not too expensive, but it's good quality and not too scratchy. So yeah, like I said, this one's just the undyed color. I think this was called something like chocolate, but it's a fairly medium to light brown. And then rather than use the Peer Gynt mohair, which I find to be too itchy on me, at least, I'd heard good things about the Isager mohair, and I can say when it's in the ball, it's the softest thing ever. Like, it's just a fluffy little bunny rabbit. So when I knit it up, it is still a little bit itchy, I think, to have the high collar, which is why I went for the lower double folded collar. But it's definitely more wearable than the other mohairs I've tried. So for now, I'll definitely be sticking with it when a mohair is called for. But yeah, it's so fluffy and pretty, yarny goodness. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish this sweater by the end of the week. So fingers crossed that goes smoothly. This was only my second colour work piece, and I'm getting used to working colour work because I'm an English knitter. I think it takes a little longer than the continental knitters that can hold a yarn in each hand. So I have to drop it and pick it up. But yes, I think hopefully any tension issues will block out, and I enjoy the process of following the charts and seeing the picture be revealed as you knit each row. So I would say it was very fun, and I've enjoyed working on this jumper quite a lot, and I can't wait to wear it. So next on my knitting wish list for autumn is the Móinéar or Moessmer sweater. Sorry for not knowing how to say that, but to me, it really reminds me of the Pokemon Vileplume, and I'm like not a Pokemon obsessed person, but I do play the games when they come out, and Vileplume's one of my favorite Pokemon. I think it was my main grass type, like as a child when I was playing Pokemon Yellow. So yes, I think it's really cute. And what's the plant called? So yes, the sweater pattern and the Pokemon Vileplume, I think, at least I'm right to say, both of them are inspired by the corpse flower, or Rafflesia, as it's known. I think it smells of rotting meat to attract flies, which is not nice, but I think they are very cute flowers, very unique looking. So yes, I was very surprised no one has done this yet, but I thought I would use the colors of Vileplume to make the sweater. So having the background be the kind of purpley navy, and then the flower be the coral pink with white spots, hopefully, if I can get the double knitting to look good, as in the overstitching. So I've done a few swatches and blocked them. So this was just to try the colors out, which I think look really cute. And that one was just slightly too tight, so I've just done another one that is still a bit soggy, to be honest. So we'll see which needle size I go with. But yes, either way, I think it's going to be really cute and fun to do. It will be my first circular yoke sweater, so I'm really intrigued to see if it suits me, because I know a lot of people say that circular yokes don't suit them. So I'll see if I'm one of those lucky few that it does. I think when you look at the gallery and Ravelry of people who've made the sweater, it looks really good shaping wise on most people. So I think it's a good circular yoke to try if you've been unsure about trying one. And the pattern's just really pretty. I really like the stripes on the neck and the sleeve, and I can't wait to give it a go, as it will then be my third colourwork sweater. The yarn that I am using is the Peruvian, 100% Peruvian Highland wool by Filcolana, which I haven't used before either, but it's really soft for unsuperwash wool, and it's not merino either. So I'm very impressed by that. And the color range is really, really good. So if you're thinking you want some reasonably priced, warm but soft wool, that is Aran. But yes, that is my plan for that sweater, and that's very high up on my list of priorities. Something I will be for sure working on, because I'll be taking it on my trip to Istanbul, as long as they don't confiscate my knitting needles on the way there. I've heard that Istanbul airport is like the strictest of any airport with knitting needles, which is fair enough. They want to avoid terrorism risks. Yeah, I think on the flight out there I'll be okay. So I got this really nice yarn from one of the yarn stores in Bath, and it was actually in the sale bin, which is very surprising because it's such a cute color. It's this blue, denim blue with natural tweed in it. So little flecks of brown and black and white. And I think it will be perfect for a hat. So I've got 2 skins of this, and I have rolled one of them up already. My plan is to make the Cassiopeia hat, which is, I think, a triple folded brim. I am one of those annoying people that gets earaches when there's even the slightest bit of cold wind. So I'm really hoping that that triple folded brim will keep me nice and toasty. And I've also done my first cable knit piece fairly recently. I did some cable knit shorts for the music festival that I went to. So I would like to try a cable knit hat. And there's quite a few varieties of cables that I think will be good to keep me busy when I want something to knit by the pool, or in the hotel room when I've got a spare moment. So yes, I'm looking forward to making that. It's called the Cassiopeia hat, and the example does include the cute embroidery. And I am someone who's got some embroidery experience, but I just think it will be more versatile if I leave it as is. And the yarn's already like quite a jazzy yarn, so I don't want too much going on with the cables and the tweed. So I'm going to skip the embroidery, at least I think I will. And I'll see how that comes out. The swatch, I think, is quite a few rows longer. So I'm worried it might be a bit too long. So hopefully the pattern can be adapted. yeah, here's how the swatch is looking. Again, it's also a bit damp. I did quite a few of my swatches last night and they've not fully dried yet. So yes, that will be my first hat, like beanie that I've ever knit. I have previously knitted like bonnets and hoods, like the Sophie hood, but not an actual beanie yet. So that will be a knitting milestone for me, I suppose. Now, next is something I thought would be the perfect autumn knit. A, because of the colour I've chosen, and B, because it is sort of the next level up from a sweater in terms of toasty and coziness. So that is a jacket, and it is the Korsvika jacket, which has a really simple design, which I think is best when it comes to jackets, because I wear a lot of frilly dresses and skirts and things, and I think a more simple jacket, as in simple for me, will look really nice. So the color I have chosen, it's in the recommended yarn, is this really nice rusty autumn brown, orange, red color, all of the above. I think it looks a little bit more red in real life. So let me get the name. It's with the recommended Fritidsgarn by Sandnes, and it was actually on sale at the Oxford Yarn store in this shade, but this was the shade that was the most autumnal and the one I wanted, so I kind of lucked in there. It is a bulky weight or chunky weight, and I'm hoping it will knit up very quickly because of that. It's only a 14 stitch row gauge, and yeah, my swatch is matching at the moment, so that's good. I am thinking it will be a really good layering piece, and also because it's chunky, I think I'm right in saying like the thicker the yarn, the thicker the garment, as long as the tension's like close enough. So yes, I think it's perfect for a jacket, and I'm looking forward to making a outerwear garment. And it's just, yeah, the one color, and I'm thinking to pair it either with some dark wooden toggle buttons or like some gold buttons maybe. I'm still torn between the two. I know the wood has sort of the more natural casual look, and then gold is more jazzy, but I am going to have a browse online and see if I can find my perfect button match. I've always tended to be more of a cardigan and jacket type person. I think it's just like the flexibility of taking it on and off, and also you don't like have to pull your neck through a tight hole and mess up your hair when you're pulling it out. Something else I'll definitely be working on, at least starting in the not too distant future, is my husband's Christmas present. So he was really after a cowl neck cardigan, and unfortunately I'm sure as you're aware, a lot fewer patterns for men available. And first of all, we found this vintage one on Etsy that he liked, but then he thinks the chunky yarn was too big and he didn't like the look of it. So we kept looking, and finally he settled on a pattern that supposedly used Aran weight. But once I've got the yarn, like I've got it to meet gauge, but it just feels a bit stiff to me. I had to get gauge by sizing down to 3.5 millimeter needles when it's a 5 millimeter needle pattern, so not ideal. I think that means it would take longer, but also like the tension is just quite hard on my hands. So I'm going to try to knit a swatch, I think, in the larger needle size, like 5 millimeters, and present my husband with the two swatches and see if he can maybe be convinced to go for a sweater this year that uses a large gauge, because it's either this yarn is too chunky or the pattern should really be using DK weight yarn, not Aran, to get the 21 stitches gauge, I think. We'll see. It's stressing me out a bit. I'm worried this will be super stiff. I mean, after blocking, it's definitely not as bad, but I don't know. just, yeah, seems really fun, but maybe I'm just not used to Shetland wool, which is, again, what he wanted specifically. So it's definitely rustic, but it doesn't feel itchy to me. It just, I guess it's more scratchy than itchy. I really do like the colour though. It's quite an interesting greys, interesting for a greyish. Yeah, and it has kind of a nice curl to it. That's the logo. Oh, it's the logo. It is nice that he likes to use the British yarn. I definitely need to learn more about the British yarn brands because I tend to use the recommended yarn first, and if that's not suitable, then I'll dig around in the examples in the Ravelry creations, because I just think obviously it's better for the environment to not ship things all over the world when you're able to get it locally. So yeah, something, maybe a New Year's resolution. So those are all the patterns that I have the yarn for already. The next items are sort of in the wishful thinking category that maybe will carry into winter or next autumn instead. But the first item is the Axis bag, which is by Rose Knitwear. When I heard someone mention this first, I thought they said Rose as in Rose, but it is Rows if you need to Google it, because I think their patterns tend to be sold on their own website before they upload to Ravelry. So yes, Rows, and they have a lot of interesting designs, but this bag in particular just looks better than any other knitted bag design I've seen. It's got this really good structure to it, and I think it's like quite versatile and is a really like nice design that I've been looking for something in that shape. And I definitely have been thinking about getting a brown bag for a few months now, because there's that old saying of you should match your shoes to your handbag, and my winter boots are brown, but I don't have a brown bag really. So I think I would probably make this in brown and maybe with an accent color or 2 shades of brown. But yeah, I do really like the sample design actually, as boring as that is to knit the same colorway. It is looking very nice and tempting to do so. But yeah, I don't think it's on Ravelry yet, so I've not seen any non-official photos. It'll be interesting to see if it looks as polished when people get their hands on the pattern. Hopefully it does. I do a bit of sewing. Which way do I move my head? See? So maybe I'll sew in a lining as well, if that might give it more structure and protect the wool. But either way, I've learnt the like benefits of real like non-superwash treated wool since going to the festival this year. So it rained really badly. It's the wettest year it's been since I've gone there, and I think I've been 7 times. So I would say 3 out of the 4 days it rained mostly all the days, all the time. And I did have a brand new raincoat, but after say 6 hours in the rain, it had soaked through, and I was kind of running out of things to wear. And I had brought my vintage wool cardigan with me, and it was amazing how much it kept the rain off and how quickly it dried, like compared to my raincoat. I kind of, yeah, maybe it's best to knit a raincoat next year, but I'll definitely be bringing more real wool things to the festival to keep the inclement weather out. But yeah, that sort of filled me with promise of knitting hats and scarves with wool myself, rather than having the kind that soaks through in the rain, because I do live in England and it's notoriously a very wet country here. I'm also very tempted to knit another pair of mittens. I did knit a pair last year. I think they're in storage under my bed at the moment, but I was thinking to also either add a lining to those ones, and maybe with drops air, to give sort of that fluffy, soft inside layer, because although the wool worked really well and my hands did stay warm, the gaps between the stitches, I could feel a bit of a breeze coming through, so I think an extra layer would help. And if I don't do that, there are also a few other mittens that I'm really interested in. Like Florence has a new kitten mittens pattern coming out soon that's so cute with fishes on the thumbs, so I'm very tempted by that. And there's also a few patterns on Ravelry that have sort of a medieval vibe about them that I could see working really well in my wardrobe. I mean, I suppose that could move into winter knits depending on how cold it's going to be in the next couple of months. I am a big convert to mittens. I always thought it would be impractical, but the thing is with gloves, you have to take them off if you're going to use your phone anyway. So to be honest, I don't think mittens are any less practical. I've also not knit a pair of socks since last Christmas, so I've been really eager to cast on a new pair. There's a few yarns that I'm thinking of using that I've got in my stash. So yes, if I find the time, I think that's a good small project to have on the go while I'm knitting one of my larger projects. I don't tend to have too many things on the needles at once, but like one big and one small, I think would be good. I've also been really tempted by the A Little Harmony cardigan with the heart cable knits on it. It's so lovely, and there's been some nice coral yarn that I thought would look good. But again, I think maybe I've got too much for the next few months, but it is so nice. So, and I don't tend to stick to my plans fully, so who knows? Yeah, that's definitely on my, or high up in my Ravelry queue. I also have been wanting to make a merino like baby tee, as in the style, not a tea for a baby, for me. And I found a really interesting yarn that is brown primarily, but then with flecks of blue and red. It, I think, would look really nice in this Feels Right tee pattern. So I did make a cotton tank top over the summer, and I don't really want to knit with cotton, at least not on such a big item. Again, it just doesn't feel nice in the hand. It's like more straining on the wrists. The end product as well was not as lightweight as I thought it would be, like it's quite heavy feeling. So I think I'm going to pivot to merino when it comes to tops, and apart from sweaters, I think having a few t-shirts for autumn would be good. So either merino or some kind of blend, maybe the merino cotton blend. I'd like to try both of the Knitting for Olive versions because I know they're really popular for making t-shirts with. If you have any recommendations, let me know. Or if you've made any t-shirts for winter, how does that work when you're wearing a sweater as well? Is that too warm? Lastly, I will say that I've had the Heirloom quilt cardigan on my wish list for some time, and I think it's very autumnal looking, especially in the example colors. But I'm kind of interested in doing one that's tones of blue and tones of white as well, maybe with a bit of purple. But it looks like it would be a very intense project with a lot of intarsia and a lot of seaming together. So it's a very big undertaking, and I am very unlikely to squeeze it in anytime soon. I think it is a lovely autumn knit. I'd also maybe like to do some wrist warmers and, oh yes, some slippers or slipper socks would be really good as well. I'm sure you can relate, and there's just more patterns that you dream of making than there is time. Even if you spend a lot of time knitting like I do, there's just not enough hours in the day. I think that's it for today. I hope that you've found the patterns interesting, or maybe you found something to add to your Ravelry queue. Let me know which item you're most excited to see, and I will do a podcast soon, I think, to round up my recent makes. And I definitely want to do what I made in 2025 video. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see my upcoming videos and get notified. And I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Yeah, let me know what you've been knitting on, if you've been crocheting or knitting or whatever kind of crafting while watching this. And I'll speak to you soon.